Hey everybody, Crow back again, and ever since Williams Pinball was released for Pinball FX3, you may or may not have known that there has been censorship involved, and what I wanted to do was do a video series on each table and what was actually censored and how it was supposed to be. And I would have done this a while ago, but for reasons you'll find out later in this video, I decided to hold off on it. But I decided that the series kind of needed an introduction or a part 0, so I could basically get all the kind of details out of the way of why there is censorship and such. And that way, the actual part 1 will actually be a comparison of what was actually censored in the first table pack. And I'm actually going to have to wait for table pack 2 to come out before I do that, and I'll get into that why that is later. But again, this is an introduction, and what I'm going to cover in this video is what Zen Studios is censoring, why they are censoring tables, and what the effect of this is. Then I'll give my opinion of the situation, and future videos in this series will show all the censorship. So when we actually get to the first video, I'll kind of show all the censorship that was in table pack 1. So I guess the first thing that needs to be covered is what is going on. And what is going on is that the Williams pinball tables that Zen Studios is putting into Pinball FX3 are censored. They're altered in multiple ways. There's been changes to the table art, there's been changes to the sound, and there's been changes to, in some cases, the DMD. Now, why did Zen Studios censor these tables in Pinball FX3? Well, the short answer is because of the ESRB. Pinball FX3 is rated T for teen, and Zen Studios felt it was necessary to modify these tables to fit within that rating. Now, part of the reason why they are doing this is because sometime in 2017, they released a game called Infinite Mini Golf, and I know one of the platforms that was released on was the Switch. That game was rated E for everyone, but there was an update or some DLC content, I don't remember which, this is just very vague, that was put out where some content was accidentally left into it and could be viewable that wasn't really appropriate for all audiences, and it would have required the game to be re-rated as T for teen. And this actually caused the game to be pulled, and I believe that Zen Studios is actually fined for this, I think by the ESRB. I'm not entirely sure, it might have been Nintendo that did it, because the game would have needed to be re-rated, and I'm not really sure about all that, but it caused a huge headache for Zen Studios. I think because of that instance, they're a little bit gun shy of pushing their luck, and since, like I said, Pinball FX3 is rated T for teen, Zen Studios is being careful not to include additional content that could change the rating to M for mature. And I don't even think it's just the rating changes, it's those little descriptions that they put on. If they were to have to add a little tagline saying like alcohol or, you know, something else that wasn't originally on there, I think that they would have to have the game re-rated or at least put additional content warnings on there, and there may be some fees or costs associated with that as well. And it is important to note that Zen Studios is doing this proactively. They're not submitting all this content to the ESRB and saying, hey, what about this table? Is this okay to be rated T for teen? Is this okay to be, do we need to take something out? No, they're just doing this on their own, just to make sure that these tables remain in the T for teen rating. And I think they're also trying to make sure they don't have to add any more descriptives on what's already there. Could be wrong about that, that's just my speculation. Now, one of the thoughts that occurred to me is, you know what, these tables were in Pinball Arcade, and Pinball Arcade is rated T for teen. Why didn't Farsight Studios censor these tables as well? Why did they just let them go? I mean, there are some changes for some of these tables in Pinball Arcade, but those were changes that were made due to licensing, never for the ESRB rating. And there was a comment from somebody from Zen Studios that had mentioned that they didn't really think that Farsight Studios was really allowed to do that, and they were just doing it and not really getting caught doing it. And if they were to have gotten caught doing it, or if the ESRB said, hey, you know what, that's not really content that's appropriate for, you know, the T rating, it's really mature content, they may have been fined. And that's something that Zen Studios was pretty much avoiding. So the effect of this is that there are changes to artwork, changes to voices and sound effects, and in at least one case, changes to the DMD animations. But there's actually a difference between the console versions and the PC version, or at least the Steam version. This isn't out on Android or iOS yet as of this recording, so I'm not sure what kind of censorship, if any, would take place on those platforms. However, as of now, the console versions of Pinball FX3 have no way to change the censorship in Williams Pinball. But that is a different story for the PC version. The PC version has a way to disable some of the censorship, but not all of it, because there is an option in there for a family mode, and that can be turned on or off. If you turn the family mode on, you get the same censorship that's on all of the console versions. But if you turn family mode off, some of the content comes back uncensored. But the stuff that comes back uncensored is really just audio clips and the DMD animations for the most part. Table artwork and everything still remains censored. Now, as of recording this, there's going to be an update coming in December 2018. When you switch that family mode to off, everything will be uncensored. So the table artwork will be coming back and everything. And so the PC, as of now, will be the only way to play these tables uncensored. They will remain censored on the consoles. And I think the reason for this is because Steam is a lot more lenient as to what is allowed. They're very lenient with the ESRB rating, I believe. And in fact, if I could be wrong, but Steam doesn't even require games to have an ESRB rating. So it could be that they just take off the ESRB rating. Now, again, this is something I could be completely wrong about. Again, this is just a quick video trying to explain things the way I understand them. So if there's something that I'm getting completely wrong, just leave it in the comments below. I'll read it and I'll make a correction in a future video. It's just kind of a big mess. It kind of puts Zen Studios in a difficult position if somebody just doesn't agree with what the game is rated due to extra content that's added to the game. So what's my opinion on this whole situation? Well, like most people, I'm kind of against this kind of censorship, but to me, this whole issue is caused by the existence of the ESRB. Now, when this system was implemented in the 90s, I was not a big fan of it. I know what the existence of the ESRB is for. It's really for parents of kids to give the parents a pretty good idea of what kind of game is appropriate for their kids without really having to do too much research. I mean, some people could say, well, you could just, they should research the games before they give it to the kid or whatever. But if the parent is in the store and the kid is, saying, I want this game, they may not have the time to do the research. They can just look at the game and say, hey, this game is rated M for mature. This is not appropriate for you. I can see the purpose of the ESRB. The problem is, I think the whole system is antiquated. That's just one of the problems. See, the ESRB was implemented at a time where games were created and put on the shelves and you bought physical copies of them. There was no possible way the game was going to be changed in the future. But these days, I don't think there's one game that's released that doesn't get updated almost instantly. So the game developer, publisher, whoever may submit the game to the ESRB, but by the time they get the rating and they post the game has already changed. In cases of games like Pinball Arcade, Pinball FX3, it's constantly being updated. The game is based on what you want to buy piecemeal. The problem with that is that it all falls under the umbrella of that one game. So if you start out with 4 tables and each table can be rated T for teen, that's the rating you're going to go for. But if you want to add some content further down the road that would be rated M, well, you simply can't re-rate the game very easily. And for every piece of content that gets added, I guess there's just some sort of honor system there that says, hey, everything you add to this game is going to fall under the same rating. So I think the system is kind of antiquated, and what it should do in the case of like maybe Pinball FX3 and Pinball Arcade is each table have its own individual rating, or maybe, the core table pack may be rated T for teen, but you want to add 3 more tables and maybe one of those tables is M rated. So that particular table is rated M for mature. And you could do the same thing with other games as well. It's like, well, you have the main game may be rated T for teen, but then you have some add-on content which might be more mature. So that content separately would be rated M for mature. The whole online aspect and the whole always being updated content kind of makes it antiquated that the game would just be rated right at the beginning and then never again. If the game is updated in a way to change the rating, well, then you really can't do that. It kind of puts the developer or the publisher, whoever, in a very tough spot if they want to add something in, but it might change the rating. I guess we can't do that. All right, now originally I went on for like another 5 minutes about issues I have with the ESRB, but it's not really relevant to this Williams Pinball Censorship issue and why Zen Studios made those changes. So we're gonna end the video right here. When the next update comes up and I have the time to, I will start part 1 of the series and actually do some comparisons of the censored versions versus the uncensored versions of Williams Pinball in Pinball FX3. But as of now, this is the end of the video. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and be sure to like the video if you did in fact like the video. And if you've made it this far and liked the video and not yet subscribed, why not subscribe? Because I will have more videos in this series and plenty of other pinball related videos for Zaccaria Pinball, Pinball FX3, Pinball Arcade, if there's more tables for that, and plenty of other pinball content to come. Thanks for watching. See you all next time.